Hello there, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Cartooning with Paul. Here we'll utilize the tips, tricks, and techniques that I've learned throughout the years, and let's see if we can get you to learn to draw goofy like a pro. Come on, let's get started. Now, I've been drawing Goofy for many years. I'm very comfortable and familiar with all the ins and outs of the character. But I wasn't always this way. I had to learn, same as you. So whether this is your first time or your 51st time, I don't want you to be overly critical with how you follow along. My purpose for this show is to properly show you how to draw Goofy the professional way. And the beauty of this medium is that you can pause, rewind, restart the whole video any time of day. So just take a deep breath, relax, and let's enjoy the draw. Let's get started here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to start our character off just like most characters, and we're going to start with the circle. But you notice that pencil isn't touching the paper yet. I'm trying to get a feel for the size and the position of the circle. I think I want to put it right here. But you'll also notice I'm actually not using my wrist to draw. I'm using my whole arm, and I'm letting the shoulder do the work. Our wrists are only meant to go in arches, right? So if you try to draw a circle with your wrist, I think if anybody's tried that, you see that it's not a really good looking circle. So we use our whole arm to draw big broad strokes. So I think I want that circle to be right about here, okay? All right. Now, next, what we need is our line of action, okay? And I think we're gonna tilt his head a little. So when we tilt his head, his line of action will be here. It kind of acts like the spinal column of the character, and it gives not only the positioning, but it also gives a sense of balance. This is very important when we're drawing big lines of action for whole bodies. And even though we're only going to be drawing the head and the shoulders, we still need that action line. It's important. Now, along with that action line, we're going to draw in our center axis line, and seeing Goofy's looking straight at us, it is straight down the middle of that shape. And our horizontal axis line will go right down here in the bottom quarter of this shape. Now, what I mean by the center axis lines, we've got a vertical axis line that goes straight down the center of the face. It shows which angle that the head is facing. And the horizontal axis line is the eye line. It shows where the eyes will rest on top of. So here we are with Goofy. His head is mostly eye. So that's why the eye line is down here. This is where the snout goes. So what we do with Goofy, his eyes are great big ovals. And the ovals connect in the middle. They overlap. And what we're going to do is we're going to erase this line later on when we do the finished line work. Okay? So we've got this kind of M shape going on here. And then we're going to draw in his eyebrows. Now his eyebrows follow the shape of the eye. Okay? And I'm going to turn the paper because that is how the wrist works. It only works in certain angles. So instead of forcing my hand to do something it doesn't do naturally, I'm going to turn the paper. And you'd be amazed how much better your drawings look once you practice this. Okay. Now you'll notice that I am drawing very lightly here and very loosely. We've got a lot of lines in here that I'm going to erase later. But you'll notice that I'm not gripping my pencil very tightly. It's very loose. Okay, and I draw just dark enough that I can see the lines. Because the lighter we draw, the easier it is to clean up at the end, right? So drawing very lightly, very loosely. And now the next thing we need to do is figure out the length of Goofy's jaw. Now, as I said before, that circle is made up mostly of his eyes. We need to draw in that Jay Leno-sized chin, right? Well, one trick to knowing how big to draw the chin is it's the exact height of the circle. So if I measure with my finger and my pencil, and I come down here, whoop, his jawline goes right about here. Then what you do Down at the bottom part of this circle, we're going to draw in a very exaggerated U shape. Okay? And there you go. There's Goofy's jawline. About halfway up to the circle from the jaw is where his muzzle goes, or his snout. Okay? And the trick to drawing his big round muzzle, we've got two oval shapes. Now, because I'm comfortable enough with this, and I don't always draw it in the ovals, and once you practice this enough, you won't need to either. But for now, we'll draw in those oval shapes. Okay? And then I draw in his cheeks. Okay? And they start in at the bridge of his muzzle, and they face upward. Because Goofy's one happy guy. I'm going to show you corners of his mouth, just like this, and then his mouth opening comes down like this. Okay? And then, because Goofy's smiling, his muzzle and his cheeks, they kind of point upward a little bit. So, knowing that, I'm going to darken in just a little bit so you can see better. That muzzle. All right, and then we throw in an oval for his nose, about that size. And now that we have the nose, we can put in the teeth, because the teeth are exactly a nose width apart. So we draw in a line down here on this side of the nose and one on that. Now the teeth are rounded rectangles. There are no sharp edges on Goofy. Just like that. All right. You feeling confident about this face yet? Okay. Hey, I don't suppose you could tell me why Goofy wears 2 pairs of pants when he goes golfing. Oh, in case he gets a hole in one. Never mind. We've got this character going pretty well here, right? All right, now, what we're going to want to do is figure out whether or not to draw Goofy's mouth open. I kind of like the way it looks closed. Goofy likes to smile with his mouth open most times, but sometimes it's nice to just give him an indication of an upper lip. And I think in this case, I like it better closed. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this action line and we're going to follow it down for his neck. Notice that neck follows that action line. And then I'm going to give him that turtleneck that he has to his shirt. All right. Now you notice I drew right through his neck, but we keep it light and loose so I can erase it later. All right. So, got his neck in there. I'm going to give him a hint of some shoulders, like that. All right. So we've got his ears. They're long and they're flat. They start off really thin at the top, and then they get bigger and rounder toward the bottom, and they carry some weight. Because we're drawing Goofy with a tilt to the side, one of those ears is going to need to hang out a little far away from the head. But at the same time, sometimes it's fun, especially when he's doing jerky movements like his laugh, that the other ear might come up a little bit. So we go back to that original circle, and we go straight down the middle of it. And that's where the ears begin. You got a little bump here, and then the ear, which is the exact height from the top of that circle down to the bottom of his chin. Okay, so that means that the ear would come down to here. So, nice thin at the top of the ear, and down at the bottom, nice and rounded. Okay, so that's one ear. And now the other one, we're going to bring up a little. Just a little. We just exaggerated a little bit, like this. And then we'll bring it in line with his jaw here because it's bent. Okay. All right. Now for one of my favorite parts of drawing Goofy, I like to draw that hat. So, remember this action line here. His hat is a little top heavy. He's got that big bulbous thing at the top of the hat. So one way to force the expression or the exaggeration of movement in the drawing is to counterbalance. So if we have his head balancing this way, that hat should maybe balance a little bit in the other direction. So we go here and we're going to draw in a curved cylinder type shape, kind of like macaroni, right? So we're going to leave it like that. And now we're going to draw the brim of that hat. Now, I had been wondering for years, what in the world is this hat? What is the design? I've heard from several different people. They all have their own individual theories as to what this hat is. But I went to somebody in the know at the studio and I asked him about this hat. And he said when Art Babbitt was creating Goofy, he was originally wearing an old beaten up fedora hat. And it just very quickly evolved into this weird bulbous thing. I can't imagine Goofy wearing a hat like Indiana Jones, but that's what he originally wore. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a C shape right here. It's for one side of the hat. Now we're going to draw an opposite shape, but it's bigger on this side. I'm going to make sure that it will connect on this side. All right. So there we go. We've got the C shape. We've got the opposite shape on this side. You want to draw in a couple creases for that hat. And don't forget that stripe or the band of his hat. And you want to make sure you curve it. If you draw a straight line across this, you're going to throw off the believability of a three-dimensional character. I know what you're thinking. Paul, you forgot the eyes. I didn't forget. I always leave that to the very end. They say that the eyes are the window to somebody's soul. Well, I take that very seriously when I draw my characters. Sometimes the expression of the character's face will look very differently than what I initially intended. And if I draw the eyes in too soon, it's going to throw everything off. So I like to leave those to the end. And one trick about Goofy, his pupils are oval, okay? But the oval is thinner toward the top. Now, I used to draw these eyes and I could never figure out what the problem was. And then a friend of mine over at Disney said, hey, why don't you try varying the size of those pupils ever so slightly. Once I started doing that, I was able to master his expression. So we want to draw in a little crescent here in the corners. We leave those white when we color them in so that you get that light reflection. Same thing with the nose. We draw an oval at the top of the nose for light reflection. And now it's time for inking and cleanup. Created in 1932, Goofy debuted as Dippy Dog for the Mickey Mouse cartoon Mickey's Review. He was soon redesigned and became the comedic sidekick of the Fab Five. He soon starred in his own series of shorts and became known for his how-to sports cartoons. People often ask me what Goofy is. Well, anyone who knows the movie Stand By Me knows the question. While Pluto walks on all fours and is Mickey's pet dog, Goofy is an anthropomorphic dog, which means he has human traits. So while he has a unique design and wears clothes, Goofy is definitely a dog. And then we put in his other details like his hair. He has 3 hairs at the top, and the center one is always the longest. We've got a couple hairs at the bottoms of the ears. And then we have his 3 whiskers on either side of his muzzle. And then we sign it. All right, guys, that's Goofy. I want to thank you very much for drawing with me. If you liked it, please give me the thumbs up, tell your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time, and until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.